imyaka twamaze ishyaka ubu twese tugaje mu batubyaye kakarama yagiye n'inyamutsindo niko katugaruye kwisi n'umunyarwanda emera mvunyishe nyamitasi yabibwa yanyuze ijambo mundi ugeze ijabiro cyangwa umkomere yombi kuba mvunyishe nyaminatsi nyamibwa yanyuze ijambo nkundira ugeze ijabiro cyangwa unkomere yombi kuwangamiye utikame nanone azahora kwirahira mvunyishe nyaminatsi nyamibwa yanyuze ijambo nkundira ugeze ijabiro cyangwa unkomere yombi kuwangamiye utikame nanone azahora kwirahira rugabanya babisha umushumba w'umugabo ndirahira umukiza ukiri Rwanda murasare yaduhanze buri mudukomeze maze karame nanone irindamutso ya twese emera mvunyishe nyaminatsi nyamibwa yanyuze ijambo nkundira ugeze ijabiro cyangwa unkomere yombi kuwangamiye utikame nanone azahora kwirahira
twibukiranye twese bavuka Rwanda umugabo karugamba ntawatagabiye
subiza agatima impembero munyarwanda ufashe tumuye impundu impimba y'abafozi emera mvunyishe nyaminatsi nyamibwa yanyuze ijambo nkundira ugeze ijabiro cyangwa unkomere yombi kuwangamiye utikame nanone azahora kwirahira
ninde utibuka imyaka twamaze ishyanga ubu twese tuganje mu batubyaye
kakanama yahiye n'inyangamutsindo niko katugaruye ku izina umunyarwanda emera mvunyishe nyaminatsi nyamibwa yanyuze ijambo nkundira ugeze ijabiro cyangwa unkomere yombi kuwangamiye utikame nanone azahora kwirahira
tugabyina mu gihugu ngo rwanye ubworo ugera mu Rwanda yongeye kuba indamutso
umwana w'umunyarwanda mu matagaga amavuta atisiga umwera aho wawubonye emera mvunyishe nyaminatsi nyamibwa yanyuze ijambo nkundira ugeze ijabiro cyangwa unkomere yombi kuwangamiye utikame nanone azahora kwirahira
ndangurura ndirimba nsingiza uwangabiye sinanywa nk'ikirego umukinzi mbamuroga iyo tubona amahoro aganje mu Rwanda ibyo byatuma twese tumwirahira
emera mvunyishe nyaminatsi karame nanone azahora kwirahira. Iyo ngabire y'Imana yahaye u Rwanda, ibihugu n'amahanga byararondogoye.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Those who are outside, can you hear me? Hello. May I request everyone to take their seats so that we start on our agenda? Hello, those who are still outside, please, can you come in? Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Honorable CEO of Rwanda Governance Board, Honorable Minister in the Office of the President, the One UN Resident Coordinator, the representative of United Nations Development Program, honorable members of Diplomatic Corps, honorable members of Parliament, both chambers, leaders of political organizations here present, the representative of our security institutions, senior government officials here present, distinguished leaders from the development partners, academia, private sector, civil society organizations, the media, religious institutions, dear participants, good morning. My name is Edward Kalisa. I work as Secretary General for Rwanda Governance Board, and I'm honored today to be your MC for this event. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank you for making the time to attend this event. Distinguished participants, this is the 12th launch of Rwanda Governance Scorecard, and I believe that every launch comes with a unique opportunity to learn. Rwanda Governance Scorecard is a data-driven and evidence-based tool that is used to measure the state of governance in Rwanda across all sectors. It enables us all to remain focused on our shared commitments. Just to emphasize the importance of tools like RGS, I want to take a quote from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, in his recent speech at the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh. He said, I quote, "In the last 30 years, we have learned to take care of our business by holding ourselves accountable, by holding each other accountable, and making sure that we are able to measure the results we get throughout this journey we have undertaken." I think there is no better way of explaining this than this statement. Distinguished participants, I would like to go through our brief agenda for today. I know it is displayed on the screen, but I just want to go through it very quickly. In the next few minutes, we'll hear remarks and introduction of RGS 12th edition by Dr. Doris Uwicheza Pikal, the CEO of Rwanda Governance Board. And then her remarks will be followed by the remarks from Dr. Fatimata UNDP resident representative, and after her remarks, we'll get the presentation of the findings of Rwanda Governance Scorecard by Dr. Usengo Mukiza Felicien, the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Rwanda Governance Board. And then we'll get feedback from the participants. After the feedback from the participants, we'll follow a keynote address by Professor Zonia Ojelo, the one UN resident coordinator, and his keynote address will be followed by the actual event, which is the launch of Rwanda Governance Scorecard, that will be done by the CEO of Rwanda Governance Board. We'll have a group photo. The protocol team will guide us on this. And then we end our event with lunch. And this will also be an important item that we do not like anyone to miss. So, with those few words, I would like to take this opportunity to invite the Chief Executive Officer of Rwanda Governance Board to make her welcome remarks and introduce the 12th edition of Rwanda Governance Scorecard. You're welcome, CEO.
Thank you, SG. Good morning, all. Honorable Minister in the Office of the President, Excellency Mr. Zonia Ojelo, UN Resident Coordinator, Resident Representative of UNDP, Madam Fatmata Sesay, honorable members of the Parliament, both Senate and the Chamber of Deputies, Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, and heads of delegations of regional and international organizations, representatives of national security organs, distinguished senior government officials, representatives and leaders of political organizations, representatives of academia, civil society, and the private sector, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. It is my honor, on behalf of the Rwanda Governance Board, to welcome you to the official launch of the 12th edition of the Rwanda Governance Scorecard. This is our nation's flagship instrument for tracking progress in governance, accountability, and service delivery. Each edition of the scorecard is more than an annual report for us. It is a renewal of Rwanda's commitment to good governance and covenant with and our collective pledge to measure ourselves transparently, correct course where needed, and continuously strive for excellence in public service. Since its inception, the Rwanda Governance Scorecard has evolved into a trusted diagnostic and policy tool, assessing governance across 8 pillars through 35 indicators and 151 variables. These are all anchored in both administrative data, reports, institutional reports, and citizen perception. The 12th edition evaluates Rwanda's governance performance for the financial year of 2024-2025 and reaffirms our country's commitment to evidence-based policymaking and alignment with Vision 2050 and the National Strategy for Transformation, second phase, NST2. Beyond this national relevance, RGS situates Rwanda in the global governance landscape because it is benchmarked against international indices such as Mo Ibrahim Index, Chandler Good Government Index, World Justice Project, And it also aligns with Agenda 2063 and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This approach ensures that our progress remains both homegrown and globally comparable. It is a hallmark of Rwanda's governance model. But this would not be possible without the tremendous work of many people. You know, this milestone is the product of many minds and hands. So I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to all partners who have contributed, to data providers across all institutions, to the dedicated research teams who analyzed and compiled the findings, to development partners such as the One UN through UNDP, whose financial and technical support made this publication possible, and all institutions and experts whose reviews enhanced the report's credibility and quality. We equally value the support of our international partners, diplomatic mission, civil society, faith-based organizations, whose collaboration continues to strengthen accountability and democratic governance in Rwanda. I wish to also recognize the presence of the African Peer Review Mechanism, represented here by Director McBride, whose pioneering work inspired Rwanda to create the governance scorecard in 2010 as a continental best practice in self-assessment. Above all, we would like to pay tribute to His Excellency President Paul Kagame, whose vision has anchored governance, integrity, and citizen-centered service as the very foundation of our national transformation. The findings of this 12th edition reaffirm Rwanda's strong and resilient governance foundation, which is marked by the enduring trust in institutions, a secure and stable environment, and steady progress in political rights, civil participation, and gender inclusion. They also highlight emerging priorities that need to be addressed. We need to improve service quality at the local level. We need to deepen decentralization. We need to strengthen the delivery of human development outcomes and expand economic inclusion. This is the next frontier of our governance journey. In essence, this scorecard reminds us that while Rwanda's governance remains strong and remains among Africa's best performers, our challenge now is to translate that strength into even more tangible results that is felt in the daily lives of our citizens. The government of Rwanda has always chosen self-accountability as a pillar of leadership. When President Kagame was asked about, what is Rwanda's secret? How did we transform from what was essentially a failed state in 1994 to the tremendous progress that we've done? It was based on 3 choices. We chose to stay together, to be united as a nation. We chose to think big, and this is something that His Excellency keeps reminding us. We might be small in size, but we're not a small people. We chose to think big, and we chose to be accountable. So this choice of self-accountability is the pillar of the leadership of Rwanda. And the Rwanda Governance Scorecard embodies this principle. It's not merely a document, it is a mirror reflecting both our achievements and challenges that call for renewed resolve and targeted interventions. In a few moments, we will receive a detailed presentation of the findings and recommendations of this 12th edition. I invite you to engage critically and share insights and help us transform these findings into practical reforms. And this will strengthen our institutions and deliver better outcome for citizens. And as we mark this milestone, let us remember that good governance is never complete. It is a journey of constant renewal. And as we transform our nation, there's always one room, and that is room for improvement. So may this scorecard inspire all of us to redouble our commitment to accountability, transparency, and service to our people. I once again welcome you to this important launch and thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, CEO, for the very informative remarks. I think this is creating a lot of appetite for what is coming up. Since the inception of Rwanda Governance Scorecard, some of our partners have been part of the journey up to the present, and one of those that have consistently supported the development of this product is, I'd like to invite the UNDP resident representative to make her remarks. Thank you.
It is always so encouraging when they clap for you before the speech. Because people are telling you, we know it's going to be nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The Honorable Dr. Doris, CEO of RGB, Murumuna Wanji. Nyakubawa, now I can't tell if you're Murumuna or Mukuru, but I'm going to say Murumuna Wanji, the Minister from the President, Office of the President. Musaza Wanji, Dr. Ozonia Ojielo, the Resident Coordinator. I know we have the representative from the CEO of APRM, Excellencies, Head of Diplomatic Missions and International Organizations, representatives from government institutions, my colleagues from the UN family, distinguished representatives of civil society organizations, the private sector and the media, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Moramutse Neza, and Murakaza Neza to this workshop. I know I never get tired of introducing myself because that's one of the few Kinyarwanda I still know. So Nitwa Fatmata Sise, Ariko, Mu Kinyarwanda, Nitwa Jiramata. That I like. I love the word Ariko. Ndi umuyubuzi, wishami, nyumu yango, wabi bumie, ritsura, ama jambiri, muri Rwanda. I'll go on. Nishimie kubana namwe oyumosi. It is a real pleasure and a honor. I'm going to continue in English so you don't struggle to translate. For Ozonia who does not understand my Kinyarwanda. It's a real pleasure and a honor to join you today on this important occasion, the launch of the 12th edition of the Rwanda Governance Scorecard. Today, this event marks not only the unveiling of a critical national tool, but also the celebration of 15 years of commitment to evidence-based governance in Rwanda. We are gathering today not only to unveil the critical report, as I said, but to reaffirm our collective commitment to the principles of good governance that underpins Rwanda's development journey. Governance data is more than numbers. It is the lifeline of informed decision-making, policy dialogue, and accountability. It is the foundation upon which inclusive and sustainable development is built. The Rwanda Governance Scorecard, alongside the Citizen Report Card, the Media Barometer, and other surveys produced by the Rwanda Governance Board, continue to provide credible, timely, and actionable insights into the state of governance in our country. And I'm saying our country because our resident coordinator says, as a UN staff, any country you find yourself is your country. So I'm owning it, in our country. Let me commend the Rwanda government, and the Rwanda Governance Board for your unwavering dedication to promoting transparency, accountability, and citizen-centered governance, and for your unwavering dedication over the past 15 years in generating and disseminating governance data. This data not only empowers policymakers and decision makers to craft responsive policies, but it also enables planners to establish baselines, set realistic targets, and most importantly, monitor them effectively. The impact of this work is visible in the way Rwanda continues to improve across key governance pillars, including safety and security. And I'm also very happy to quote His Excellency the President from what the Minister of Justice said in another event very recently, that security and safety should be so guaranteed that every Rwandan, including myself, living in this country can take for granted that security exists. And we continue to see this also in the rule of law, as well as citizen participation. As we reflect on the journey so far, we must also look ahead. The importance of data cannot be overemphasized. The saying goes, if you do not count, it does not count. I couldn't agree more with this. Data gives visibility to issues, voices to communities, and direction to development. The Rwanda Governance Scorecard is a homegrown innovation that continues to evolve, reflecting both global standards and Rwanda's unique governance context. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the launch today marks a significant moment. As Rwanda is well into the implementation of the National Strategy for Transformation 2, this scorecard remains a vital tool for tracking progress, identifying gaps, and guiding policy decisions. It is indeed more than a scorecard. It is a mirror of our governance landscape and our compass for our future direction. And this is why the analogy when we drive or when you're driving of our little mirror that shows us the back and our big white windscreen that tells about the opportunities in the future is really relevant here. With the scorecard, we use the small mirror to look what has passed, but most importantly, it gives us a guide and a light for the future that actually unfolds. We are proud to see how the scorecard has become a platform for inclusive dialogue, bringing together voices from across sectors, government, civil society, academia, and development partners. This spirit of collaboration is essential for building resilient institutions and fostering trust between citizens and the state. I see there are not many events that I attend that are really well attended and well represented by different institutions that play a key role in governance. And it's really a testament to our continued dedication. You will imagine it is the 12th edition. People will say we're now used to it. We've listened to this many times. But every year, we come not because we want to listen to the report card of what we receive, but because we want to renew our commitment to effective governance and accountability in this country. And I think that is commendable. At the heart of the scorecard is the belief that governance is not an abstract concept. It is about how services are delivered, how rights are protected, and how every Rwandan is empowered to participate in shaping the future of our nation. As we prepare to delve into the findings of this year's scorecard, I encourage all of us to approach the results with openness and resolve. Let us celebrate the progress made, but at the same time, let us acknowledge the challenges that remain. and commit to continuous improvement. Let this launch be a call to action for innovation, a call to action for reform, and for a deeper engagement. Together, we can ensure that governance in Rwanda continues to be a pillar of sustainable development and inclusive growth. I want to also mention that the scorecard is not just a national tool. The CEO of Rwanda Governance Board did mention that. It is a global model for how governance data can be systematically collected, analyzed, and used to drive transformation. I know before coming into the room, I had one of us in the audience, I'm not going to mention, we met in the bathroom and we're really impressed at the commitment to accountability in this country. Both of us are not from Rwanda, and we're just gisting around, where else do you see people holding themselves accountable? And they are actually doing this by themselves. Whether we want it or not, whether we participate or not, Rwandans will continue to do this, and this is really remarkable for us to recognize that. I was just thrilled that it was a chit-chat, but we can tell that we are not here just because we want to be physically present, but we are here to share our deep admiration for a commitment to accountability that we don't find easily outside of this country. This reflects Rwanda's commitment to transparency, accountability, and citizen-centered governance. The scorecard indeed provides a comprehensive picture of governance performance across multiple dimensions, offering insights that are critical for both domestic and international stakeholders. UNDP sees the Rwanda Governance Scorecard as a strategic asset in our shared mission to build resilient institutions and foster inclusive development. It is a tool that bridges the gap between policy and practice, between government and citizens, and between ambition and actions. I just want to remind all of us, in this digital age, we must embrace innovation in how we collect, analyze, and disseminate governance data. This is not a call for AI to replace any of us, but it's a call for us to use AI to the advantages of being able to swiftly analyze data and do so in live situations. And that's why Rwanda's strides in digital transformation, from smart governance platforms to integrated data systems, are commendable. It is making use of the right opportunity at the right time. We must continue to invest in new technologies that enhance citizen feedback mechanisms, ensure real-time data access, and promote transparency. I wish to call upon all stakeholders here present, government institutions, development partners, civil society, academia, and community members, to make full use of the data provided by the governance scorecard. Let us not keep that document and wait until we come back to launch the 13th. Let it inform our programs. Let this document and the data analysis in it shape our policies and hold ourselves accountable to provide and look out for the people we serve. Let us continue to champion data as a public good. Let us use it to build trusts, drive accountability, and accelerate progress. And, most important, let us celebrate Rwanda's leadership in showing the world how governance data can be harnessed for transformation. UNDP remains committed to supporting Rwanda's governance journey. Tirukumwe, let us continue to build a governance ecosystem that is inclusive, transparent, accountable, and responsive. I thank you all for your presence, for your attention, and for your strong partnership, and for the dedication to building a Rwanda where governance works for all. Imana ibane namwe. Murakoze.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatumata. She she has situated RGS into the services that we deliver and the development that we pursue. Thank you very much. I will not attempt to repeat what you said so that I don't dilute your message, but I would like to mention two things that will help me to transition. One is the data. She said that the importance of data cannot be ignored. So in the next few minutes, we'll get introduced to the data. She then said that RGS is like a mirror that helps us to see through ourselves. And I know there is no one here who can see themselves in the mirror, see a stain on his or her face, and continue without removing the stain. I take this opportunity to invite Dr. Feressier to present the data. Thank you.
Distinguished participants, after hearing the remark from Dr. Giramata, I was thinking if I can make my presentation in Kinyarwanda, because she understands more than some of us, but the problem is with Dr. Ozonia. Yeah, thank you very much, because in fact, I will escape some of her slides because she really highlighted the rationale of Rwanda governance scorecard, meaning that you facilitate me the task. I will be quick and to facilitate audience to participate in the discussion. Now, as you highlighted, when we produce Rwanda governance scorecard, we have first of all to understand the key imperative governance of our country. When we talk of governance, what we understand as a country: accountability, transparency, efficiency, and deploying scarce resources. It's one of key imperative of our governance. Citizen-centered governance. Whatever we are doing, we do it for our citizens. It's very critical for our governance. Having the rule of law that supports and protects all its citizens without discrimination. It's very important for us. Social and economic transformation towards rapid development. When we talk of our socio-economic transformation, Vision 2050, it's about how we can highlight and we can work towards socio-economic transformation of our country. This is how we understand by governance in our context. Then we do our assessment to make sure that whatever we are doing, we are in line with our governance. Now, Rwanda governance scorecard. Previous speakers talked about it. I don't need to come back exactly of what they said because it's very clear. Of course, it's quantifiable and we index that got the state of governance in our country. Because it assesses the state of governance against national, regional, and international global targets. Here we have in mind, when we talk of national, of course we have NST2, we have Regional 2050. When it comes to regional, it's about Africa Agenda 2063 or East African Vision 2050. And globally, SDGs, UN program. Specifically in RGB, we assess goal 16, which is about peace and security and strong institutions. It's where we put more effort when it comes to addressing SDGs in our context. Now, the objective of this document to generate credible and reliable data on governance, to generate evidence to inform policy, decision-making, and improvement, and as well as to contribute to current and contextualize the knowledge about Rwanda. I'm happy to explain this objective in the presence of our colleague from EPRM, Dr. Mark. Because, as you highlighted, they're inspired by creating this document to do self-assessment. And Dr. Fatoumata highlighted, RGS is more than evaluating, assessing governance status in our country. It's a tool of accountability. And the other country, not only Rwanda, many African countries continue being assessed by international indices, sometimes without having minimum information about our countries. That is why we decide other country, and we have a capacity, and we have a willing, and we have all data we need to show the real image and the state of governance in our country. This is the objective of the document. How is it done? Methodology. As Sisio highlighted, this 12th edition of RGS is composed of 8 pillars, 35 indicators, and 151 variables. Here, before I continue, I'd like to remind you one thing. This document came on the same in the period where it's the first year we are implementing NST2, meaning that the findings I'm showing you today are in line with implementation of NST2. That is why I would recommend not to compare this edition with previous one in all aspects, because normally we score or we assess based on our national target. That is why some findings may not lie with, in line with previous edition, because target of NS2 changed or we fix a new target. Now, I'm sure that most of you are familiar with this methodology, but let me come back for a few, and sometimes to remind it's very important. Now, source of indicators, when we create this document, we are inspired by international indices. We know some international indices on the governance aspect, like Mo Ibrahim Index, Worldwide Governance Index from the World Bank, Rule of Law Index, so many indexes. And then we think about how they are implementing this document and they are doing, and we were inspired by them. International framework, of course, is another aspect. We are not isolated, we are not in Ireland. That is why Rwanda, also, we are part of international context, meaning that UN system, like SDGs I said. And remember, initially we had the MDGs. And after MDGs, now we are implementing SDGs, meaning that when we create this document, we are also inspired by this international framework, and of course, homegrown pillars. Some indicators are unique to our country, considering our history and our realities. That is why we find that some indicators or data are unique to our context. Source of data. We use primary data specifically from citizen report card, which is a quantitative research based on perception survey of our citizens to assess level of citizen satisfaction with governance and service delivery. So same with service delivery assessment we conduct annually, and then Rwanda Media Barometer, Civil Society Barometer, those are surveys we conduct as primary data. When it comes to secondary data, we use, of course, data from institutions, high data from institutions, from both national as well as international data. And when it comes to scoring, we use colors to facilitate everybody to understand. As you see, when an indicator is scoring above 80%, it's already in green. Between 60 and below 80, it's in yellow. Between 40 and below 60, it's in amber, while below 40 is already in red. And then scoring is done by measuring current status of performance against national institutions and international targets, meaning that the performance of indicators is all time against the fixed target for the concerned year. But green doesn't mean everything is okay. That is why, as I said, we score against the target for the assessed year. That is why sometimes you will find out when you see an indicator scoring 100%, yet we know that there is still a long way to go. It's because for this period we are assessing the fixed target. Now, the scoring method we are using, when it's data from surveys, of course we use perception and we use percentage. From the perception survey, because we are making sampling, then the finding from the surveys is expressed in a percentage. Performance scoring for hard data also is expressed in a percentage. And the other I said, scoring against national and international targets. Here we have NST2 as the main target we are focusing on. Second one is the SSP. SSP is the Sector Strategic Plan, Vision 2050, and the SDGs, and of course, Africa Agenda 2063. But the data from Vision 2050, or target from Vision 2050, can't be assessed annually. That is why NST2, it's midterm program towards implementation of our long-term program of Vision 2050. That is why in the finding you won't see any data linked directly to the Vision 2050. Score against gender equality is based on parity. It's obvious. If we have parity, women and women on a given indicator, this indicator is scoring 100%. It's clear. But in the book you are having, you are downloading, or some of you have already downloaded it, you will observe that for some indicators, when we have women exceed men, we still score 100%. You may ask me why. It's because of long-term underrepresentation of women in the policy-making situation. Here we continue having this affirmative action. Probably time will come to reverse the situation, but for time being, for example, the indicator I remember now, it's in the parliament where you have more than 63% of women in the parliament, it is still scoring 100%. Don't be surprised, it's because of this clarification. Probably in the coming year, or we will see if we can revise this scoring, if women continue progressing well in decision making. But unfortunately, when you go in the executive sectors, like local government, the situation is the other way around. We have a few women represented. That is why for just this indicator, I'd like to remind that. And sometimes we have also scoring based on what we call forecasting method. If an indicator doesn't have a target, we use forecasting method to fix the target in order to facilitate to evaluate performance of these indicators. When we use in forecasting method, we consider that the other variable remain constant, so that other factor remains constant, so that it facilitates to understand really the scoring method. Now, quickly I go to the findings. You have this sheet in front of you. The 8 key pillars we are using the rule of law. In this edition, rule of law is scored 81.63%. Political right and civil liberties, 80 to 71%. Participation and inclusiveness, 86.31%. Safety and security, 90.02%. And here I'd like to remind that safety and security, since the creation of this document, continue to read the other pillars. And this is not a surprise because many other international indexes consider safety and security of our country as one of the leading indicators, not only in Rwanda, even globally. I'm sure you heard that last year you saw the report from Gallup, Safety and Security Report, where Rwanda was ranked number 1 in sub-Saharan Africa in terms of walking around at night. I mean, to show you that it's like a coincidence that we have the same findings even for international indices. Investing in human and social development. This is the least developing, performing pillar, 64 69%. Anti-corruption, transparency, and accountability, 84, 67%. Quality of service delivery, this second poor performing pillar, 71, 73%. And then economic and corporate governance with 74, 84%. We identified some highlight for the key performing indicators. Remember, we have 35 indicators, and you can put all of them here. We identified the best performing one and the least performing. Now, best performing indicators, above 80%, you see power sharing and the inclusiveness. It is quite 100%, meaning that it's obvious if we have a legal framework when it comes to power sharing and inclusiveness, it knows that it can score 100%. Incidence of corruption, 93%. Reconciliation, social cohesion, and unity, 93%. Now, sometimes when you see these high scoring indicators, we have to be patient in terms of interpretation. For example, reconciliation, social cohesion, and the unity. When we discuss with the Minister of Unity and the civic engagement, 93% it seems to be high. But imagine the remaining 7%, if they are really not in line with the unity of our country, how they can affect or affect our society. Meaning that 93% is not really, okay, it's good, but not, we can say that we are done. Meaning that 7% remaining is a huge figure. And we continue with other indicators, as you say, you see up to accountability, which score 80%. Now, for low performing indicators, below 70%, you see these low performing indicators are from two pillars: investing in human and social development and quality of service delivery. You see social protection scoring 67%, service delivery through ICT 66%, education 65 and 65%, service delivery in economic transformation 63%, secure and prosperous family 60%, while climate change and environmental resilience 56%. Those are lower performance indicators in this edition. Now, remember, we have pillar indicators and down we have variables. We have 151 variables, but we wanted to present all of them here. We identify just, again, lower performance variable, because good performance are more than 100. We don't need to show all of them, but we highlighted just low performance variable, because at the end, when we formulate recommendations, it's against the poor performing situation we have today. Land administration and management. You see how it is scoring 59%. We continue citizen satisfaction with service delivery in land environment and settlement. Percentage of people below poverty line, 59%. Here I'd like to make clarification. Sometimes you can mislead this data. Percentage of people living below poverty line, 59%. It's not data. It's not a situation. We don't have 59% of people below poverty line. This is scoring, meaning that you can interpret as the performance of institution in eradicating poverty is scoring at 59%. Otherwise, if you remember, when it comes to poverty line, according to ACV2, we have 27.4%. Yet the target was 17%. That is where we come up with 59% as performance. Sometimes you can mislead when you see this data, thinking that we have 59% of population under poverty line. It's really, it's just a clarification I'd like to make. The same with some other indicators like stunting rate, other inflation rate. You will see that the figure here you have, it's scoring, not data. Because When you go in detail in the book, you will see column of data, target, and then scoring. Here we present just a scoring situation. Lower performance variable you see at 23%. I comment on the last one, a percentage of governance service, percentage of government services fully digitized end-to-end. According to our National Strategy for Transformation, even from NST1, government was committed to have all government services fully digitized at 100%. Today, we still have 11%. That is why this figure, you see, it's the risk performing variable. And then the commitment of our government is to make effort to see how we can improve this particular variable to fully digitize services to our citizens. When I go into detail to each and every pillar, you see rule of law, it composed of 4 indicators. Performance of the judiciary, 47%. Performance in the criminal investigation and prosecution, 83%. Performance of the legislature, 90%. And then access to justice, 79.43%. And the whole pillar is scoring 81.63%. Now, the 81.63% is arithmetical average of the 4 indicators, considering that all indicators have the same weight, meaning that the average you are seeing from rule of law are from the 4 indicators, and all indicators have the same weight. Political rights and civil liberties, scoring 80 to 71% with 4 indicators. Democratic rights and freedom, political organizations, respect for human rights and core international conventions, and access to public information. Again, the same average is coming from the 4 indicators. Participation and inclusiveness, scoring 86, 31%. From the 5 indicators, citizen participation being the one of the best performing together with power sharing and inclusiveness, while decentralization is the least performing indicators with 73.11%. Participation of non-state actors, these indicators performed well because before it was not in a green color. And then gender equality in leadership, 80 to 42%. Safety and security, as I said, the best performing pillar with 90%, with 4 indicators: maintaining security, national security, reconciliation, social cohesion and unity, as well as personal and property safety. You can see that a personal and property safety is the only indicator which is scoring below 90%, while other indicators are above 90%, but personal and property safety is in the green but below 90%. Investing in human and social development, as I said, it's the least performing pillar with 69%, with 5 indicators: education scoring 65%, health 74%, social protection 67%, secure and prosperous family 60%, while climate change and environmental resilience is the least performing indicator with 56%. Anti-corruption, transparency, and accountability is also one of the best performing pillar with 67%. We have incidence of corruption, 93%. Anti-corruption is the least performing indicator with 72%, while accountability, 80%, and transparency, 92%. You may ask yourself, accountability and transparency. Normally, there are 2 indicators which are interconnected, yet they are already quite different, because you can see a big difference between transparency and accountability. Probably because transparency assessment is based on legal framework. If it's about e-procurement, public tender, or declaration of assets to Ombudsman Office. Those are the legal framework you have to do without any negotiation. While accountability, it's about assessing institutions how they are implementing their action plan, they are implementing their Mexico, or addressing citizen needs. That is why you see accountability is a little bit lower than transparency. Quality of service delivery with 5 indicators is scoring 73%. Service delivery in transformational governance, 79%. Service delivery in social transformation, 70%. Service delivery in economic transformation, 63%. Service delivery through ICT, 66%, while the quality of service delivery in the public, private, and civil society, 77.92%. And the last pillar is economic and corporate governance with 84%, from the 4 indicators: macroeconomic indicators, foreign trade and industrialization, corporate governance, business environment, and promotion. The average of the 4 indicators make 84%. Now, we try to show, although I said we don't, we are not recommending to compare edition in all aspects, but the trend I'd like to show just you from the creation of Rwanda Governance Scorecard, from the first edition, you may observe that safety and security over time was leading other pillars on the first position, while quality of service delivery, investing in human and social development are on the bottom of the table, on the 7th and 8th position over time, meaning that you can observe where we need to make effort or recommendation for our partners, institutions. Now, I go quickly to the recommendation. From the finding, as I said, we formulate recommendation from the status of finding. If we remember well, on the performance of the judiciary, which scored 73% in rule of law pillar, we found out that in line with NST2, judiciary should continuously develop and implement the innovative strategies to accelerate court cases to achieve timely access to justice. Here, at the same time, they can address also backlog case, which we found out as is very high. And here we identify responsible institutions to address this recommendation. The same in Chamber of Deputies, performance of the legislature, although you found that it is quite over 80%, but some variables are very scoring poorly at 73%. It's on variable related to performance of the on the oversight of the government actions by Chamber of Deputies. Here it's about to report on SDGs and the analyze laws by the Parliament. It's on the action plan and strategic plan, meaning that this one also is a key recommendation for the Chamber of Deputies. The same again for Chamber of Deputies, its performance in outreach on engagement with citizens, because they have planning, number of engagements they have to do with the citizen, meaning that if they didn't meet the target, the situation looks like that. Now, for investing in human development, you remember it's this performance pillar. It's we have formulated quite this number of recommendations in education specifically. Education, we have on variable of education system strengthening. Here we need to increase the number of classrooms, train the teachers, and the teaching equipment materials across all school levels. This is what we found out as a weakness. And again, to reduce the school dropout, specifically in the primary school. It's where we found out that we have still high rate of dropout. Again, in education, we have a recommendation related to use of ICT in teaching and learning at all levels. Because again here, government was committed to equip all schools with ICT equipment for training. Social protection, again, we have enhanced the functioning social protection programs, particularly ECD fighting malnutrition and graduation from poverty. Secure and prosperous family. We have a recommendation related to raise awareness on family harmony and the promotion shared decision making in the management of family resources. These are challenges we know we face in some households. Sometimes decisions are taken by one partner rather than discussed by both partners of the family. Climate change and environmental resilience. Strengthening national adaptive capacity measures to mitigate climate change and enhance environmental resilience. And again, mainstream climate change resilience into development planning, meaning that all institutions are supposed to incorporate aspects of climate change in their planning. Anti-corruption, Ombudsman Office was committed to train, to make training for these anti-corruption committees. And from the data we got, they didn't achieve the target. That is why we recommend that we can make effort how they can continue training this committee, anti-corruption committees. Quality of service delivery in economic transformation. Here, mainly, they are about on agriculture and livestock sectors. Here, we recommend improve agriculture value chain, particularly increasing the number of drying lots for agricultural produce, expanding market for agricultural produce, and storage facilities of agricultural products. This recommendation we identified. For also livestock, to improve livestock value chain through consistent supply for quality livestock feed, adequate water, expanding market access for livestock products, and investing in value addition. We continue. Probably I'm not going to read all recommendations as you will have them in your books, and specifically concerned institutions are present here. They will have and at the end we address each recommendation to each individual institution and to address them at the next edition. Because before we produce a new report, we have a special chapter on this implementation of recommendations, meaning that the recommendation you see today here, for the next edition, we'll have a chapter highlighting the state of implementation by concerned institutions. I think I may stop here and again, as you highlighted, thank you everybody who participated with the audience, and of course to our government who support us in producing not only RGS, any other document in assessing our government, and of course one UN and the UNDP for supporting us financially in the production of this document. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Feressier, for the detailed presentation of the findings of Rwanda Governance Scorecard. I think he did provide the details and some of the explanations that help us to understand certain variables or indicators and pillars and how they are scored. Before we dive into the next session of getting feedback from the audience, I would like to make an announcement. I guess that everyone has this kind of flyer on their table in front of you. It shows a summary of the pillars, of the 80 pillars and their performances and their performance, but it also has a QR code down here, which you can scan and go to the website of RGB, and you will see a list of Rwanda Governance Scorecard editions, and the first one will be this one that we are launching today. So if you do that, you will be able to download it and read it, whether on your phone or your computer. Can you find that? Can you get to the link? Okay, thank you very much. So let's go to the next phase of next session of our program, which is feedback from the audience. As Dr. Felicier highlighted, we get feedback from this launch that help us to adjust, that informs the next edition of Rwanda Governance Scorecard. So we always appreciate your feedback so that we continuously improve and strengthen the Rwanda Governance Scorecard. So if you allow CEO, I think we'll begin receiving feedback from the audience. If anyone has any comment or something to be clarified, or the floor is yours. Yes, Dr. Mrefu.
Thank you very much. I have two points where I want to seek clarification and one request. I understand that you conduct, you assess annual performance against annual targets. And my question is, how relevant are the recommendations to the following year? Since I guess there is going to be another annual target. Another question, there are some indicators where you see no data, no target, no source of data, but there is a score. And maybe there's something I missed when Dr. Felicier was talking about the methodology. And then I would wish, my request is that maybe we needed to have more collaboration with the universities to identify areas that need more investigation, to understand the reasons behind maybe less impressive performances, but also to share knowledge and lessons where there is great improvement for cross-sector learning to contribute to the problematization of the situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, there's a hand here.
Thank you, MC. I'm coming from Democratic Green Party of Rwanda. I'm called Maître Hitimana Sylvestre. I'm a commissioner for human rights in that political party. And I am an advocate and a private notary. I'm going to ask, I start by thanking the presenter, especially the CEO and the UNP representative. They explained how RGS is a tool for informing the policymakers. It is good, and it is also for constructing a trust between citizen and the government. I thank them for that precision. Now, I'm going to an issue about recommendation on a pillar of investing in human and social development, where I have some lowest percentage, especially in social protection and in education. I would like to ask, how do you, when you are scoring the progress made in both two sectors, social protection and education, have you thought about, especially on education, have you thought, how do you think about increasing accommodation facilities for university students, especially for your students? If a country wants to invest in human resources development, it is not only to allocate a budget for training teachers or to have equipment, teaching equipment, but also it would be better in our recommendation, the recommendation you have proposed, to increase for the government, especially the Ministry of Education, to think about accommodation facilities for students. If we want to have skilled personnel for the country, they have also to be furnished with the well-being facilities, as like accommodation. Concerning social protection, if we want to develop our people, especially the ones who have employment, how do you think about increasing, establishing the minimum wage? Because if we don't have a sufficient wage, it will not be able for the people to make saving for their future. Those two concerns must be taken into recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other comment or question? Yes, there is a hand here between Dr. Joseph.
Yeah, thanks a lot, SG. And yeah, of course, you've said Dr. Joseph, but I think majority of the guests here might not know me. I'm Joseph Murunziza Jarasa, and I'm the director at Nevegen. But these days, I'm a civic educator. So first of all, I want to congratulate Rwanda Governance Board for this wonderful assessment, because at times the essence of perception surveys is to help policymakers so that they can be able to assess the contribution of the policies in addressing citizen issues. I liked the CEO when she started. She requested for critical engagement, if I quote her rightly, critical engagement for practical reforms. And she also says that governance is a continuous process. So the reason why I appreciate her request from us, she doesn't want praises. She wants honest feedback. So I'm happy about that because she's encouraging civil society to be active. Yeah, so as I read through the RGS, I see that we've had lots of improvements, but I have three points. Of course, when you look at the source of data, there is high reliance on perception data, and as we all know, perception or citizen satisfaction surveys, at times they are affected by the cultural norms. And of course, me as a Rwandan, we know our culture and our society. So you might find that the respondents might be very careful in responding. And also the social desirability. So the scores might look nice, but then the realities on the ground, they speak something else. So I would want to hear from Dr. Feressier if there is beyond this, if there is complementary qualitative work that can help the decision makers not to get the real issues on the ground. The next point is around economic and social outcomes, which somehow they speak something else when it comes to governance scores. Of course, when you look at the nutrition and stunting, job creation and cost of living, climate vulnerability and disaster resilience, these indicators are lagging behind, and they contradict the perception-driven governance scores. So, because they might mask the performance on the ground, which affect the citizens. So, how is that is being covered? Finally, it's around. I was making a joke when the representative of Green Party was asking. I was expecting him to ask on political participation and civic liberties, but he went for human capital. So my last point is around power sharing scores. Of course, they are 100%. But I'm very disturbed. Every morning when I wake up, I have a Google alert. Of course, people have the right to criticize us. But then we as Rwandans, we also need to see why, what is happening, if the inclusiveness, political sharing is 100%. But every morning you hear from these experts, political participation, political pluralism. So I was wondering if the research team, when they are doing this exercise, they do look at, if they look at autonomy and also the influence of these political organizations on agenda setting. And finally, if these political organizations are vibrant. So thanks a lot. I think I've contributed to the request of the CEO.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joseph. Any other comment or question? Yes, Dr. Eric Nshabandi.
Thank you, CEO. for inviting me, and I'm happy to connect and to see the evolution up to 12th edition of RGS. I have a few comments. Thank you, Dr. Felicien. I want to come back to the methodology. One, I'm an academia professor, yeah? Engaged in think tanks as well, civil society organizations. One is about the critics of sources, and this goes with the quality control of our source of data and regularity of these sources of secondary data. How RGB ensure that after this kind of launch, we connect with those actors who provides primary data to make sure the quality control and the regularity, and to ensure that these are credible source of data to inform the RGS. Second is about the recommendations. How systematic is this to track the changes annually to make sure that these recommendations are really addressed? And this goes with my first question, by the way, connecting with those who are directly or indirectly concerned by implementation. How these recommendations are they consultatively, inclusively sitting and define actionable orientations to make sure that the next year we are not coming to the same stage. Of course, I will not leave the mic before I comment on the human capital and social development. We know that there is a formal education, but also non-formal education, which include all these mechanisms developed by this country in capacity and human being capacity building. How do we position ourselves? This is a very big challenge to see that this is requesting for more action to increase really our role in education and human development. Last, not least, thank you, Afandi, for being here, is about safety and security. I'm sure this is not the first time. We know we are involved very much in your services. We know how it works there. So it's not surprising, really. As beneficiaries, we are enjoying this security, and this is owned by people. I think when we talk about this indicator, we should keep in mind that this is not just a traditional understanding of security, state security, including the military and the police. But I think qualitatively we should understand that we are not just as people beneficiating for these very good services, but we all need the level of ownership by people because it goes beyond this traditional understanding of security, of state security, but for human security engagement, how our security bodies are engaged in this. So let me end by diaspora. I hope I didn't miss anything. It's particularly about the participation in governance, but also in terms of unity and reconciliation. Are there any specific recommendation for diaspora? Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you very much. Can we get one additional question or comment? Yes, yes, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Solange Wituze, the acting DG for Rwanda Agriculture Board. I also wish to appreciate Rwanda Governance Board for this enlightening report. I have two contributions. One is about the responsibilities. When Dr. Felicien presented the recommendations and the key players, it looked like, especially on the economic pillar, it looked like the role of PSF is actually missing. There is a tendency to attribute everything to the government. I don't want to shy away my responsibility as a government agent. But time and again, it has been shown that actually private sector would play a better role than the government in terms of especially value addition, for example, or investment at large. And only government is good at maybe de-risking the sectors that have been mentioned there and leveling the playing ground. But really, if we want to change, to have a paradigm shift in some aspect that you mentioned, the private sector role has to come out very, very strongly and boldly. Second, I think this report is lacking something of enlightening us on something about what are the root causes that are making some sectors almost chronically performing poorly before giving recommendations so that we know where to put a light and then focus on that according to the third-party lenses such as RGB. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Solange. We'll go back to Dr. Felicier this time to make comments on the issues that have been raised. Yes. We'll start.
This is kind of dialogue, and I'm sure because the institutions here we invited are the ones who are implementing, who are providing data we are using, meaning that sometimes they have some more, even they are in a better position to address some of the questions. That is why I call upon if someone can supplement our intervention, I welcome or your intervention. Now, Dr. Mrefu highlighted the annual target against the annual performance, asking how we assess the continuous year, meaning that how we assess if we score against annual target. Remember here, each edition has specific target towards implementation of our midterm program, for example, NST2. NST2 is a 5-year government program from 2024 up to 29, meaning that by 2029, we know where we want to be and where we want to go. In the meantime, we set up each achievement of every year. We set up a achievement of every year for each and every indicator and every sector, meaning that we go into NST2, we go into implementation matrix to see each indicator how it's supposed to be implemented, and we know the target of every year. It's where we score, meaning that we can't assess performance of indicator, yet we know that we are remaining with 3 or 4 years up to 2029. That is why the best performance we score every year, it's where we do so. Now, you asked again about forecasting method, how we do so, meaning that sometimes we can have indicator or variable without necessarily target in the NST2 or in our sector strategic plan. What we do is to do forecasting considering the performance of the previous years. This obviously we do in academic research method. That is why I said that considering other factors remain constant, because sometimes when we do forecasting in the agriculture sector, you know that we are relying on the weather. Sometimes we can't consider what will happen tomorrow or after tomorrow, meaning that we consider the stable factors. That is why we say that other factors remain constant, how the sector performed in the previous year, so that we fix the target for this year. Another example in the forecasting method, you see, for example, we have our target for GDP per capita by 2029. Today, if I remember well, we are at $1,029 per capita for this year. Meaning that by 2029, we know what increment we need to do. And we divide with the remaining year to fix the target for the remaining years to see how we can fix the target. Otherwise, the Minecofin doesn't fix the annual GDP capital target. They fix target for economic growth, depending on our performance in economic sector. But GDP per capita, they can't fix. We are relying on a target of 2029 NSC2. Now, collaboration, of course, we are welcoming all kind of collaboration with our partners, specifically UR or other higher learning institutions. Today we have a key partner with African School of Governance, and we need to welcome other institutions in the same sectors to see how we can improve our research sectors or even to address some of key recommendations. The second question was from our colleague from Democratic Green Party. Yeah, he asked if we can invest specifically in the education sector. What can we do to facilitate accommodation for students? Remember, in Rwanda we have one university, public university. Other remaining are private. Meaning that I'm not sure if this kind of building accommodation for students, when we compare with other countries, or I'm not sure if government is supposed to invest in this sector because it's private-driven sector. Maybe we can encourage private sector to invest in this domain. Otherwise, I don't see how government can continue investing in building accommodation, dormitory for the students, because what we have in the secondary school, yes, it's obvious that it's needed. But for higher learning institutions, maybe we can rather encourage private sector to create more higher learning institutions closer to the student, so that they can go to school and go back to home rather than staying at universities. It's what I can say about this one. Now, Dr. Jarasa. Remember, when we presented the finding for RGS is mainly not rely on primary data. Primary data are rather from citizen report card. And the citizen report card is purely quantitative research based. And we sample countrywide in all 30 districts over 11,000 respondents. And then, last year I said that the weakness of quantitative research method, there is some questions this finding can't respond. Quantitative research can't respond to the question like how and why. Because the perception of our citizens, we ask how they appreciate service they are getting. If they are ranked poorly service, we can ask citizens why are not you happy? Why the service is not good? Then we go an extra mile of asking leaders, local leaders, to respond to the perception of a citizen. It's where we incorporate what we call the qualitative method. Then after getting data from the citizen, the level of satisfaction, we ask mayors, what's wrong with the citizen if you claim that according to your Mihigo, you achieved what you planned? Why citizens are not happy? It's where we incorporate in a narrative, but squaring, because the quantitative, of course, it's figures. We show the figures from the citizen, but we can't show figures from qualitative, because qualitative came just to explain the why and how. That is why you can see in the finding the data from qualitative. Maybe when you go to the book, you can see the narrative when we explain why the citizens are not happy from the source, from the someone who's supposed to provide services. This is the difference between the quantitative and the qualitative, and specifically for citizen report card. But for RGS And again, with the CRC is contributing in the pillar of quality of service delivery. Otherwise, you will see that the other pillars are not using the primary data. They use administrative data. And again, RGB is not producing data. Data we are using are from institutions. That is why we are happy with our partners here, institutions who provide data. They provide annually, and again, recommendations, if need be, so the who formulated the recommendation, we provide them, and annually they give us the status of implementation of the formulated recommendations. And data they provide us are from the action plan, they are from strategic plan. And we are not imposing them those targets. They are from NST2 or the sector strategic plan, meaning that even everybody here can score himself according to the findings. When you see the findings, the status of action plan, you can personally assess your sector. But we try to compile all sectors to generate this document. Otherwise, I'm sure that every institution can make the same exercise, knowing their own status based on target and performance. Now, just I don't know if what you want me to talk about power sharing. If I say that we score this indicator scored 100%, others said it's based on our legal framework. When you go to our constitution, our political choice, it's solving our problem through dialogue. It's our choice, meaning that our political organization sit together through National Forum for Political Organization to discuss problem issues they have. And this kind of inclusiveness, and no one is being left behind in our political organization recognized in our countries. Good enough, all 11 political organizations today are in parliament, but it's not mandatory because it's depending on results from elections. But good enough today, all of them, they are in member of parliament. They are represented in parliament. To show that this kind of inclusiveness and power sharing is incorporated in our decision, specifically in our constitution. Meaning that it's not surprising to see that if this indicator is scoring 100%. It's what I can say about that. Dr. Eric, regularity of source of data and quality control. As I said, the data we collected are from institutions, and the institutions are providing data from their action plan, sector strategic plan. And we do assessment, and we do assessment of performance based on their own data, meaning that we believe and we trust the data they provide us. And again, when it comes to quality control, we are guided by, again, on our national strategy for transformation or action plan they fixed. And again, when NISL come to assess performance of institutions through IMIHIGO as exercise, again, they do the same exercise based on what the data we are using. You ask about any education sector, what can we do? You saw education sector is one of the poor performing indicators. Yet when our commitment as a country is to have economic, knowledge-based economy. There is some kind of contradiction if you see the performance of education in our long-term planning or target, meaning that there is a long way to go and to invest a lot in improving this sector. But I may say that in French there is a proverb saying that le problème bien défini est à moitié résolu. For me, if already we know the problem, half of the solution is already there, meaning that all concerned actors in the sector, they know what to do as government, as private sector, religious organizations, development partners, meaning that we know where we need to invest. Meaning that for me, it's not really big issues as long as we know already the challenges we are facing. For diaspora, we don't have a specific recommendation because we consider diaspora as part of Rwandese. That is why we used to say that it's 6 provinces. Where when we analyze, when we interact with Rwandese in diaspora, you know that sometimes we do what we call the president outreach in the diaspora, Rwanda Days. It's just to remind them they are part of Rwanda programs. They are supposed to be part of implementation of our long-term program. And they contribute a lot in terms of remittances to our economies. It's, for me, really, I found out that it's a very good position. Probably the area you are saying it's about unity and the resilience. We know that we have quite a number of citizens who are negative, who are still continuing implementing if it's a negationism policy and strategy and so forth. What we do, we recommend that everyone is the ambassador. We need to address or to do narrative, contradictory narrative from them. It's our mission. Everybody is responsible. When you see such kind of narrative, I think we don't need to be quiet, we have to react. We don't need to wait from government. And everybody is responsible for such situation because we need to show the real image and the real information. Sometimes they don't have good information being outside the country. Dr. Solange, I agree with you. This is really critical recommendation you gave us. Private sector, probably because as a government, as an agency, we don't have a very big control to the private sector. But I agree with you. When we discuss with our partners, like Minagri, Minicom, Mininfra, because I understand the area you are talking about, it's to improve the sector like agriculture, livestock, and the infrastructure sector. Exactly, it's an area we need presence and the vibrance of private sector. And yeah, you are right. We have to engage a private sector and sometimes to, but when it comes to policy formulation, we formulate recommendation to RAB or Minagri, maybe you will engage the private sector to participate in implementation. Otherwise, responsibility again come to the public, to you as the responsible for this sector. And I know that in the NST2, private sector also is highlighted. They have a role to play, meaning that also we have to engage them, but it doesn't, you have to continue having this responsibility of overseeing this sector where your sector is performing weak and so forth. And the root causes for chronic poor performance, I'm sure you are talking about sector like Minagri, livestock, or climate change. Yeah, this is the question you are asking ourselves. Probably because agriculture sector, it's the sector which touch the large part of population. It's where our life is relying because agriculture is key for our life of every day. And over 70% of our population is employed in agriculture sector. Yet, when you see the contribution of agriculture to the GDP, it's less than service and the industry. Currently, industry is over 22%. Agriculture is reducing, yeah, meaning that what we need to do is to modernize this sector, not continue doing traditional agriculture, meaning that market-oriented agriculture, and again, not considering all population as it was tradition in the past, where everybody who doesn't have any job, I'm finishing, who doesn't have job in IGIHE, they put as farmers. That is the expression, your tradition. From a long time, everybody who doesn't have any job, instead of writing that he's jobless, they put that he's a farmer as employment, which is wrong. Today we need to have a really professional agriculture sector in the employment, rather than continuing hiding this kind of unemployment in the agriculture sector. Sio said that the time is running and I have to stop here, unless you wanted to supplement me of what I said. Nobody else wanted to supplement me? Okay, they give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for appreciating him. Thank you, Dr. Feresier. I just want to supplement you on a few items. The first one is what Dr. Munef raised regarding the indicators that don't have targets and data. I think the level of indicators doesn't have targets and data, because under the indicators we have variables which are scored against targets. I mean, where we put targets and score them against the performance. So when we aggregate the variables under each indicator, we get a score for the indicator. So that is why you don't see any targets or scores under indicator. There are also some variables that don't have that, because we have what we call composites, smaller items that we score to come up with a variable. But that is on a few variables. So when you don't see that under indicator, go down and look at the variables. When you don't see that under a variable, which are not many actually, you look at the composites that are scored, which actually the composites in most cases are not presented in the report. So the other one is on the minimum wage. Maybe this is, RGB may not be in a position to respond to the question now, but I know there has been debate led by Minister of Public Service and Labor to come up with the minimum wage. I don't know where at what stage it is now, but I think that has been discussed, and possibly in the next few years or months, something will be done. Then on the issue of perception, which may be affected by cultural norms, that was raised by Dr. Nkurunziza, I think every researcher goes out to do research knowing some of these things. So it's up to the researchers to come up with techniques that will allow them come up with information that is not biased, based on how you ask your questions. We normally see a lot of this, especially from the researchers that come from outside the country. If they don't understand the context, they will formulate questions that will not give them the actual data they want. So we understand this, and we put into consideration these issues when we are designing the research tools. On the issue that was, on the question that was raised by Dr. Eric Ndushabandi regarding the data quality and regularity, definitely quality assurance is very key in this process. And the way we get data from the institutions, we understand that it is discussed and scrutinized through sector working groups, where every one of us, I think, or most of us participate. And this is why we are challenging you as partners to ensure that what we discuss through these sector working groups has the required quality that will inform our commitments in the sector strategic plan and national strategy for transformation. So it is up to everyone to make sure that they contribute to the quality assurance of this data through these frameworks that we all came together to establish. The last one. The last one on the recommendations, I think Dr. Feresier did mention that when we are coming up with the next edition of Rwanda Governance Scorecard, we collect information on the progress that has been made in the implementation of the recommendations of the previous edition. So this is what we do, and there is a chapter in each edition that reflects what has been done on the recommendations that we have provided. I think that's what I wanted to add. Thank you very much. Dear CEO, I think we will end the feedback here because time is not on our side, and then we move to the next items, if you allow. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Dr. Ozonia to make his keynote address.
CEO Rwanda Governance Board, Dr. Wicheza Picard. I want to disappoint my sister Fatmata because I don't want to mutilate any Kinyarwanda words. So let me play safe. Honorable Judith Uyeze, Minister in the Office of the President, Afande General Mubarak, members of Parliament from both chambers that are present, permanent secretaries, heads and representatives of state institutions that are present here, representatives of various government institutions, political organizations from the faith community, academia, media, private sector, civil society, my dear friends and colleagues from the United Nations system, dear colleagues from the diplomatic and development communities. It's 1 minute to 12, so I don't know whether to say good morning or good afternoon. So you can take anyone that's convenient to you. Let me appreciate the excellent presentation that we've received at this launch of the 12th edition of the Rwanda Governance Scorecard, and to congratulate the government and RGB for sustaining this flagship national instrument, which continues to track the state of governance in a rigorous, transparent, and evidence-based manner. This scorecard remains one of Rwanda's most remarkable homegrown innovations, reflecting a deep commitment to accountability and continuous improvement. It provides policymakers, civil society, cooperation partners with a credible and consistent assessment of governance performance. So, joining all previous speakers in commending RGB and all the institutions, researchers, and students and citizens who have contributed data, analysis, and insights to make this 2025 edition possible. I'm equally honored to be here on behalf of the United Nations family in Rwanda and as a proud partner in this important national effort, and to acknowledge the technical leadership and coordination of UNDP under my dear sister, Dr. Fatmata, in supporting this initiative under RGB's stewardship. The Rwanda Governance Scorecard has become an astounding example of how data-driven governance and multi-stakeholder collaboration can strengthen accountability and inform transformative policies. This 2025 scorecard confirms that Rwanda continues to perform strongly in most governance areas, with 5 out of 8 pillars scoring above 80%. It also shows that Rwanda is aligning its governance monitoring framework to the National Strategy for Transformation, NST2, with a focus on transformation, inclusiveness, and resilience. However, when compared with the 2024 edition, there has been a moderate decline in overall governance performance, largely driven by challenges in human and social development, which is up most 65%, and these reflect issues in education quality, in ICT integration in schools, and social protection coverage. The economic competitiveness pillar, which is at almost 80%, also shows a decline, reflecting weak export performance, productivity, and private sector participation. Similarly, service delivery at 71.73% particularly within the economic transformation cluster, which is at almost 64%, signals areas that require deeper reform and digital acceleration. The rule of law pillar, despite its strengths, continues to face case backlogs and limited automation, with only 11% of government services fully digitized, highlighting the need to fast-track e-governance and judicial digitalization as key enablers of efficiency. Despite these challenges, Rwanda's governance foundations remain exceptionally solid, with notable resilience in safety and security, rule of law, and anti-corruption and accountability, which is a testament to the government's unwavering commitment to good governance. And so I ask the question, why is Rwanda's foundation solid? In my view, it is solid because it is based on Rwanda's values and lived experience. Governance is about values. What do you believe in a society? How do you want to interact with others and hold yourselves accountable? How do you believe your society should be managed? So governance must remain autochthonous to a society. African societies have an opportunity with the polycrisis that we see in the world today. This is the moment for Africa to rethink the foundations of our governance arrangements. The erosion of the connections between donor funding, conditionality, and governance systems, in my view, creates a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for African societies to rethink our governance frameworks. So what we see in the Rwanda Governance Scorecard, it's not just a technical process. It is a foundational process at reconceptualizing the socioeconomic and structural foundations of a society. So I want to commend the government and RGB for developing a wholly autochthonous mechanism for addressing the performance of governance institutions. We know that there is not one correct method or model or system of governance. So what we accept as unanimous worldwide is not the method or the system, but the principles. And these principles are about participation, inclusion, voice, representation, consultation. Now, if we accept that there's therefore not one template around which you can construct the foundations and the underpinnings of your society, and Rwanda has constructed one based on your lived experience, your national systems, your traditions and processes, it means that what is happening in Rwanda is an experiment. It is an experiment in the socio-economic transformation of a society based on the people's lived experience as well as your aspirations. This scorecard is therefore direct evidence of how far this aspiration has come, the success and the opportunities for consolidation. So if we say that there's no global template for development, it means that every experiment has challenges at points of stumble, but also points of affirmation and resurgence. So when I listen to some of the issues that are raised by colleagues, I think they are legitimate, because this platform is the only space where we then have to identify those potential points of stumble, and then to reaffirm new ways of dealing with them and for going forward, so that this experiment can only but be forward-facing and to succeed. And therefore, this is something that many of us should learn and borrow from. And I'm very happy that we have a dear friend from the APRM, the director from the Africa Peer Review Mechanism. So I recognize you. And the historicity of the scorecard building on the APRM process. And for those who've been associated with the APRM process, I was in the 90s and 2000s, that is a study of your own national society, of your own systems, with recommendations for how you address them. And those recommendations don't say to you, this is where you go to find the answers. those recommendations propose an iterative process of national dialogue and consultation to come up with an inclusive approach that everyone would accept. And so, clearly for this launch, it is an opportunity for all of us to reflect on the correlation between service delivery, economic governance, and human capital development. Now I'm getting back to the technical issues. Areas that are vital for sustaining the next phase of Rwanda's transformation. There are a few issues that have emerged that I want to reemphasize. But I want to reemphasize them because they have also come up in NSC2 as key areas, but particularly as flagships that Rwanda hopes that its own development trajectory, its relationships with the partners cannot be based on the multiplicity and multitude of interventions, but on some clearly thought out, deliberately choosing specific agenda items that will create cascade effect, create scale and impact. One, of course, is in relation to investments in education, quality, digital learning, and health. So the role of government institutions become relevant here, and the opportunity to accelerate the national e-government rollout to at least achieve 50% digitalization of public services, hopefully by 2027, in 2 years' time. In terms of the rule of law process and justice delivery, the automation and e-litigation tools help strengthen accountability and also reduce delays in case processing. And the introduction of ADR mechanisms have demonstrated that case backlogs can be reduced if we all put more efforts in mediation and plea bargaining. So all of us will become mediators. Let's get it done. And for the private sector to strengthen export readiness, innovation, and partnership with cooperatives and SMEs to enhance productivity and job creation. Export promotion is a key pillar or key priority of NSC2. So we need to consolidate efforts in this direction. Now, citizens and civil society, the report makes the point about strengthening and deepening participation in local decision-making and strengthening citizen feedback mechanisms to enhance social accountability. And we all know, with AI and social media, there are now multiple platforms and ways that we can deepen citizen participation in addition to the convening of physical meetings. Now, for our colleagues in the development cooperation community, our cooperation partners, including ourselves in the UN system, it is not just about aligning support to NSC2 and priorities that have been identified in the Rwandan governance scorecard. It's in their flagships that development cooperation coordination must flow from the flagships. So every project is important, but those projects can stay at the bilateral level between the cooperation partner and the partner ministry. But when you want to invite quality executive time of all permanent secretaries in the government of Rwanda, of the 3 ministers in Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, for a half-day conversation, it has to be worth their time. Because development cooperation is not just the only thing on their bucket. It's about the entire transformation and management of budget, resources, personnel, and all of those. And so it can only speak then at the flagships, because those are the most important considerations for which you see results. So how do we align ourselves to then speak to the flagships? That whatever we bring, no matter how small, must have a direct correlation to the flagships. If it doesn't have a correlation, it means it's actually not strategic for Rwanda. And we should be rethinking what we are offering to the government and the people of Rwanda. So as we take stock of the results from this scorecard, I am reminded of 2 powerful reflections, and I think my sister Fatmata had mentioned one of them, that what gets measured gets managed, and what gets measured gets done. So both these reflections emphasize the power of measurement in driving action and accountability, and that tracking performance will enable better management and resource allocation, but also that visibility drives action and accountability. So together, they affirm that data is not just about observation. It is a catalyst for both management, execution, and transformation. In essence, measuring creates visibility, which leads to better oversight, and ensures that goals are actively pursued and achieved. Therefore, as we digest the findings of this 12th edition, I want to challenge all of us to commit to turning insight into action and ensuring that next year's review not only measures progress, but celebrates it. So, as we learn from Rwanda through this scorecard to rethink and to reaffirm our processes and systems, 2 words come to mind to me and help me illustrate this approach that we must focus on. First word, I have stopped using the word diaspora. There's no Rwandan diaspora. There are non-resident Rwandans. Because it's a mental shift that is important to get them to stay focused on the homeland, invest the resources and commitments to continue this journey to transformation. The second words for me is that Rwanda is not landlocked. Rwanda is land-linked. Because in the land linking, we create new opportunities for transformation and to help this country go forward. Together with my colleague Fatmata, all my colleagues from the United Nations system that are present here, we will remain steadfast in our accompanying role to walking this journey with government and other partners to advance a culture that is data-driven, that informs decision-making, but continues to inform impactful action across all sectors for the realization of strong institutions, accountable governance, and citizen-centered transformation. I thank you for your kind attention. Murakoze Chiane.
Thank you very much, RC, for your insightful comments. I got a few keywords. Of course, I will not attempt to repeat your speech because I don't want to dilute your message, but I just want to highlight keywords that I got from, he said that what gets measured gets done. And this is what we are doing. And this is what we should continuously do if we want to get what we commit to do done. He said that Rwanda is land-linked rather than landlocked. That is why we are all here. We are all linked. We may be coming from different countries, but we are all linked, and linked to deliver on shared commitments. Then he said that there is no universal governance model that suits every situation. I think Dr. Joseph, this in a way responds to your question of the experts who criticize the political choice, the political model that Rwanda has chosen. And I think Dr. Félicien talked about the reason why it scores 100%. It is because of the legal framework that is based on the political governance model that the country has chosen. So they may criticize from their own point of view or frame of reference, but I guess if that is a choice that the country has made, as long as it suits everyone and or most of us, it still works for us. The last one, on my keywords, he also said that no global template for development. We only have principles that guide everyone in what we are supposed to do. So please, let's define our own, our own model based on the principles that we all share in the journey to development. Without taking much time, I would like to proceed to the next session, which is why we are here, the launch of Rwanda Governance Scorecard, 12th edition, and I would like to invite the CEO of Rwanda Governance Board to lead us into this exercise, and she will then deliver her closing remarks. Thank you very much, CEO.
Hello. Hello again. Yes. So, as we're drawing close to the close of this very important event, and I would like to just share a few reflections before the official launch. First and foremost, I would like to thank you all for your very active participation and thoughtful reflections and the engaging discussion that followed the presentation. And to, I said earlier that governance is a journey, but so is dialogue and conversations about governance. So this is not the end of our engagement on this scorecard, on this edition of the scorecard, but the conversation continues, and critical engagement continues to be very welcome from civil society, from everybody present, really. I would like to also thank you for your commitment, for taking the time to come out here and be present with us and engage with this scorecard. And I'd like to extend a special appreciation to our speaker, our keynote speaker, Mr. Ozonia. Thank you very much for your insightful remarks. I would like to also thank the resident representative of the UN for her remarks and her excellent Kinyarwanda. And I'd like to ask all of you to give a round of applause to the technical team, researchers, and data experts of the Rwanda Governance Board. It is your meticulous work and analytical rigor that has produced this comprehensive and credible 12th edition of the Rwanda Governance Scorecard. Above all, I wish to recognize the citizens of Rwanda, whose voices, experiences, and feedback are at the very heart of the scorecard. The RGS belongs to them. It exists to reflect how governance is lived and experienced by every Rwandan. Distinguished guests, the findings presented today paint a clear and balanced picture of Rwanda's governance landscape, one characterized by remarkable institutional consistency, trust, and resilience, but also areas that call for continued innovation and reform. The Rwanda Governance Scorecard remains a mirror, one that reflects our progress, our challenges, our collective responsibility to sustain the values that define our nation. It stands as both a measure of achievement and a call to action, to continue strengthening the systems that uphold transparency, accountability, and service to the people. And now, in recognition of this collective effort and responsibility and the national achievement, it is my honor and my privilege as a representative of the Rwanda Governance Board to declare the 12th edition of the Rwanda Governance Scorecard officially launched. Thank you very much. And we look forward, once you scan the QR code and are able to access the full report, we very much look forward to your comments and to continue this dialogues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO. I would like to tell you the next items on the agenda as we close this session, this event. We are going to have a group photo. I would like the protocol team to help us organize where we are going to have the group photo. I request these tables, the front tables, come forward for the group photo. I would also like the second row to come, the first and second rows to come for the group photo. I think some of us will sit, others will stand just here, and the rest of us will be on the podium. After the group photo, please, we request you to not go without having lunch. We want to share lunch with you. And we think that it is also an important item of this event. Yes, so may I request you to come forward, and the rest of the members seated on the front row. I guess that everyone seated here can fit on the podium. Can we all come forward? We thought that the space will not be enough, but I think it will. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for attending this event.
Bon appetit. I think the protocol team will guide us where we'll have our lunch.
Kata kata